Dear Chosen One, she thought she knew what she was doing. With a sharp tongue and a hardened heart, she took aim at you, convinced that you were just another soul she could break. But what she didn't know, what she couldn't possibly understand, was that she wasn't targeting just anyone. She was targeting a chosen one, a soul covered in divine armor, a being not defined by ego, but by purpose. She misjudged the silence you carried as weakness, not realizing it was the silence of a warrior who doesn't waste energy proving themselves. And now, the very trap she set for you is becoming her own undoing. Because when you aim at someone who walks with the Creator, you don't hit your target, you awaken judgment. She saw your peace and mistook it for submission. She saw your stillness and labeled it fear. But what she attacked was a sacred assignment, written before you ever took your first breath. She couldn't see that the spiritual forces aligned in your favor are not to be trifled with. And the moment she made you her target, she stepped into a realm where cause and effect are magnified. Every word of slander, every attempt to isolate you, every seed of confusion has begun to echo back to her, not because you retaliated, but because the divine law is always in motion and it never misses its mark. She fired the first shot, but it's heaven that delivers the final verdict. If this already feels like your truth, if something in your spirit is rising just hearing these words, I want you to declare it. Drop a comment and write, "She aimed wrong." Let your soul be heard. Let heaven and earth witness that you are still standing. And please, leave a like if your light was underestimated. And subscribe right now if you're done being silent about who you truly are. Because this isn't just a video, it's a divine confirmation. And your enemies just became your footstool. Everything she threw at you is now circling back, only heavier, darker, and more charged with the very energy she tried to bury you in. What began as whispers behind your back has turned into thunder in her own life. What she intended to be a minor wound in your spirit has become a gaping hole in her own peace. Every seed of chaos she scattered in your garden has rooted in hers, because chosen ones are not left unguarded. When someone targets a soul walking in alignment with divine assignment, they are not just attacking flesh and blood, they are challenging universal balance. And the universe has a perfect memory. It returns what was sent, multiplied, and matured, ready to teach those who aimed wrong exactly what they've provoked. You didn't have to lift a finger. That's the part she never expected. She was waiting for retaliation, expecting you to fight fire with fire, but all you did was stay rooted, grounded, still. And in that stillness, the heavens moved on your behalf. While she schemed, you stayed silent. While she raged, you reflected. And in that sacred quiet, the laws of the Spirit were activated. Her attacks were never going to prosper, not because you're better, but because you're aligned. She played a short game, while your soul was bound to eternity. And now she's feeling the shift. The energy has reversed. The arrows she loosed are returning, and they carry the scent of spiritual correction. But what she didn't expect, what truly unsettles her, is how you turned pain into power. You didn't crumble. You transmuted. Every blow she sent your way became fuel for your evolution. She wanted you broken, but you came back forged. She wanted you silenced, but you found a deeper voice. She wanted your faith to collapse, but you found revelation. That's the thing about chosen ones. Pain doesn't destroy them. It activates them. And what she meant as your ending became your ignition. You were never meant to fight back in the physical. Your strength was always in the unseen. You are a spiritual alchemist, and now your transformation is too powerful to ignore. She watched in confusion as the fire she lit beneath you didn't consume you. It refined you. She expected you to beg, to bend, to back down. But instead, you became more focused, more confident, more connected. Every time she expected weakness, she was met with something immovable. That scared her, because for the first time, she realized she wasn't just fighting against a person, she was pushing against destiny. And no one wins when they go to war with the divine. That's the mistake she made, thinking she was just dealing with you, when in reality, she had declared battle against everything holy and sacred that walks with you. You see, trying to destroy you was like pouring gasoline on the very flame she feared the most. She thought attacking your name would steal your influence, but it only magnified it. She thought betraying your trust would crush your heart, but it only expanded your capacity to love. She thought sowing doubt would make you forget who you are, but it only led you deeper into your divine identity. Everything she meant for evil became divine reversal. Because when you walk with purpose, every curse becomes a course correction. Every stone becomes a stepping stone. Every insult becomes instruction. And now, she's realizing that she wasn't tearing you down. She was building your platform. What she never saw coming was the awakening. The raw, unstoppable awakening that happens when a chosen one is pushed too far. The kind of awakening that tears away illusions, peels back every false identity, and reveals the core of a soul that knows who they are. She thought she was attacking the old you, the one who doubted, who needed approval, who played small to stay safe. But she didn't know that her betrayal would become the very trigger that birthed the new you, the elevated you, the unshakable you. And now, she can't recognize the person standing in your place, because you're no longer reacting, you're reigning. While she spirals in confusion, wondering why her efforts failed, you're rising with calm assurance. The more she tries to understand how her plans unraveled, the more the truth confronts her. She aimed wrong. She misjudged your silence, underestimated your grace, and completely ignored your covering. But it's too late now. The laws have been set into motion, and what she tried to end has only begun. You are not where she left you. You've evolved, you've elevated, and she cannot access the realm you now dwell in. Because when you're chosen, your pain has a purpose. Your wounds are sacred, and even your tears water the soil of destiny. What she failed to realize is that the universe never forgets an injustice done to a chosen one. You are not a victim of life's cruelty. You are the keeper of divine balance. And when someone dares to tip that scale against you, it is not you who retaliates. It is the spirit who defends. You didn't need to fight back, because the laws that govern your soul are self-correcting. The attempt to destroy your light only summoned more light. The attack against your peace only called forth a higher wave of protection. Her aim wasn't just off, it was suicidal. Because you were not meant to break. You were designed to rise. While she falls apart under the weight of her own schemes, you're still here, calm, solid, untouchable. That alone is the loudest statement you could ever make. She's surrounded by the very energy she tried to plant in your life. Confusion, chaos, disconnection. But what she meant for harm has become a mirror. It's reflecting everything she tried to escape within herself. She cannot deny it anymore. The seeds she sowed in hatred are now growing thorns in her own hands. And all the while, your light grows brighter. Not in arrogance, but in truth. Your presence alone becomes a silent witness to her spiritual reckoning. She thought she could dim your brilliance with slander, but true light doesn't come from public validation. It doesn't come from approval or applause. It comes from within, from the fire you've walked through, from the storms you've endured, from the grace you carry without needing recognition. She underestimated the source of your power. She thought your silence was compliance. Your kindness was naivety. But you were never built from human praise. You were forged in sacred fire. And now, while she seeks attention to justify her actions, you walk quietly in divine favor that needs no defense. Every attempt to silence your voice became a megaphone for your truth. The more she tried to cover you in lies, the clearer your essence became. And not just to you, but to everyone watching. Because people can feel spiritual authority even when they don't understand it. They may not know why, but they sense the shift. And now, those who once echoed her narratives are pulling away. They see the cracks in her mask. They feel the weight of your steadiness. And they're beginning to realize the truth was never where the noise was, but where the peace remained. You didn't expose her. Your survival did. That's the real plot twist. She tried to paint you as the problem, but her obsession exposed her. The very energy she used to manipulate perception became the light that shattered her illusion. Because your story was never built on defense, it was built on destiny. And no lie spoken against you can overwrite what's been divinely written about you. You are a living testament that what God ordains, no one can dismantle. And every moment she spent trying to derail your path only served to prove how unshakable that path truly is. The more she tried to delay you, the more obvious it became that you cannot be stopped. The chaos she attempted to throw into your life has become the storm surrounding hers. And what makes it even more unbearable for her now is this: you're not fighting back. You're not chasing revenge. You're not bitter. You're evolving. And nothing haunts someone more than watching the person they tried to destroy grow even more radiant. That's why she can't rest. That's why her own circle is turning on her. Because the truth is rising. And it's coming from the very life she tried to ruin. She thought she had silenced you, but you became louder without even speaking a word. You didn't just survive, you transcended. And now, she's left trying to reconcile how someone she counted out is standing in undeniable power. What she failed to understand is that a chosen one's rise is not fueled by ego, but by mission. And that mission doesn't bow to manipulation. It doesn't falter under false accusations. It doesn't shake in the face of envy. You rise not because you want revenge, but because you can't not rise. It's who you are. It's in your design. She aimed wrong. And now, all she can do is watch as you step further into everything she tried to withhold from you. She thought she had the upper hand when she tried to break you. But instead, she became the very trigger that awakened your divine identity. What she meant to destroy you only peeled away the illusions you used to wear to survive. In the silence of your suffering, something sacred came alive. You started remembering who you were before the world tried to tell you otherwise. The chains she placed around your soul became too small for the expansion that had already begun. She was expecting you to collapse under the pressure, but you evolved, and not just evolved. You ascended. You rose from the ashes of her betrayal as something new, something radiant, something untouchable. She saw herself as the threat, but in trying to bury you, she uncovered a version of you that terrifies her now. Because what can she do with a version of you that doesn't need her validation? What power does she hold over someone who is no longer triggered by lies, no longer dependent on the old approval systems, no longer bound by guilt or shame? She wanted you weak and unsure, desperate and confused, but instead, you became grounded, bold, and unafraid to speak truth with clarity and love. That shook her, because she realized that all of her manipulation had not dimmed your light, it had purified it. And in doing so, she became a spectator of her own unraveling. While you soared with purpose, she stumbled under the weight of her own bitterness, suffocating in a storm she created with her own hands. Every time she tried to diminish you, she unknowingly helped elevate you. Her jealousy became the ladder. Her betrayal became the doorway. Her doubt became your confirmation. That's how divine reversal works. It doesn't just neutralize the attack, it transforms it. What was meant to wound becomes your weapon of wisdom. What was meant to trap you becomes your training ground. And now, while she tries to make sense of your calm strength, your smile in the storm, your elevation without explanation, she's tormented. Because she knows she pushed you into the fire, but she never imagined you'd walk out glowing. She ignited your awakening, and now she can't unsee what you've become. Because you're not just standing, you're shining. There's a glow on your life now that wasn't there before. It's the glow of someone who faced their darkest night and didn't give in. Someone who found divine light while walking through shadows. You walk differently now. You speak with a calm authority that can't be learned. It's earned through battle. And every time she sees you, even in silence, something inside her trembles. Not because you said anything, but because your energy is no longer within her reach. You've risen above her games, her projections, her attempts to control. And now she knows. She aimed too low. She aimed with ego, while you rose with purpose. Your strength is no longer loud. It's absolute. It doesn't need to defend itself. You're not trying to prove anything to anyone anymore. You know what you carry, and that knowing is what unsettles her the most. Because she tried to operate in confusion and control, and now she's face to face with someone who is rooted in truth. She can't manipulate your perception anymore. She can't gaslight a soul that has remembered itself. She lost access to your energy the moment you reclaimed your power, and now she's left shouting into the void, hoping her lies still carry weight, but they don't. Your presence alone invalidates every attack she made, because truth always outlives the noise. She hoped your pain would keep you hidden, that your wounds would keep you silent, but instead, they became your testimony. The very scars she thought would shame you are now the evidence of your anointing. You walk with the calm of someone who's already survived the worst and didn't just live, but transformed. You don't owe explanations to anyone anymore. Your existence is the explanation. She sees it now, how you carry yourself differently. You're not reacting, you're revealing. And what you're revealing is unsettling. That her entire strategy failed. Not because you fought her, but because you became who she feared you'd remember you were. She never thought you'd realize how much power was sleeping inside you. And now that you have, she can't unsee it. You radiate something eternal, something ancient and sacred. The kind of presence that doesn't demand attention, but naturally commands it. You are not just walking in freedom. You've become a mirror that reflects every lie she tried to project onto you. She sees now that every attack only exposed her own darkness, and that truth is suffocating. Because while she spent her time crafting your downfall, the divine was using every moment to shape your rise. What was meant to bury you is now what causes people to see you. And she knows none of it can be undone. What she saw as vulnerability in you was actually your most dangerous strength, the power to remain soft in a world that tried to harden you. She confused compassion with weakness, mistaking your ability to forgive as foolishness. But what she couldn't see is that love, in the hands of a chosen one, is a sacred weapon. It disarms the darkest energies not with force, but with truth. And while she was plotting behind closed doors, thinking your light was fragile, she didn't realize it was eternal. You were never trying to win battles in the physical realm. Your very presence was shifting energies, revealing shadows, and awakening truth. You became a mirror that forced her to see everything she had hidden from herself. She couldn't handle that. Because when a chosen one walks in full awareness of who they are, every lie told about them begins to collapse under the weight of divine clarity. And that's exactly what happened. Your glow started peeling back the illusion she built. People around her began to notice inconsistencies. The masks she wore started slipping. The narrative she created began to sound hollow. And in the silence of your integrity, The truth screamed louder than any accusation ever could. You didn't expose her with your words. You exposed her with your walk. And the more peaceful you became, the more chaotic her life grew. Because your calmness wasn't weakness. It was divine confirmation. She never expected that trying to control you would completely unravel her own world. But that's the thing. When someone tries to oppress a chosen one, they invite disorder into their own life. It's a universal law. You are protected not because you're perfect, but because your purpose is connected to something bigger than the self. Her interference wasn't just against you, it was against a divine equation. She disrupted a line of spiritual alignment, and now the equation is correcting itself. You are ascending, not in spite of her efforts, but because of them. Every obstacle she placed before you became a stepping stone that heaven used to elevate you in front of those who thought you'd fall. And now, all her words, all her whispers, all her schemes are irrelevant, because you've transcended the need for explanation. The people who were meant to stay with you see the truth. The ones who left were never meant for your next chapter. And she's stuck in a loop of her own creation, trying to undo what she set in motion. But it's too late. Spiritual law is irreversible once it begins to unfold. And while she watches doors close and blessings dry up, you continue to walk through portals of divine alignment, not by force, not by manipulation, but by grace. That's what unsettles her the most. You didn't have to scheme to win. You just had to remain, because the power of a chosen one is not in retaliation, it's in resonance. And you, chosen one, are now resonating on a frequency she cannot reach. No matter what she says, no matter who she tries to convince, your essence speaks louder. And it's speaking even now, through your calm, your confidence, your elevation. You are proof that divine justice doesn't always shout. It whispers in the rise of the one who was targeted, in the peace of the one who was slandered, in the purpose of the one who was almost broken. And what she cannot bear to witness is the fact that none of her weapons worked. You were touched, but never tainted, pressed, but never crushed. Her final realization is the most painful one. She didn't just fail to break you, she helped build you. Her betrayal shaped your discernment. Her games sharpened your intuition. Her cruelty clarified your boundaries. She became the unexpected architect of your higher self. And now she sees that everything she did only moved you closer to your divine identity. That's the kind of irony that spiritual law always delivers. Those who tried to harm the chosen often become the very reason the chosen rise. She was so busy trying to dismantle you that she didn't realize she was activating the very force that would render her powerless. You walk in strength now that she cannot manipulate. You hold clarity that cannot be confused. And every time she remembers what she tried to do, she has to live with the fact that it all backfired. You didn't fall apart. You became unstoppable. She played her best hand and still lost. Because the battle was never about flesh and blood. It was always spiritual. And spiritually, you were untouchable from the start. She just couldn't see it then. But now, with every blessing falling into place in your life, with every door opening in divine timing, with every glow you carry, she sees it clearly. She aimed wrong, and the cost of that misjudgment is one she never saw coming. There is something she never counted on. Your invisible army. You were never walking alone, and every time she threw spiritual darts in your direction, they were intercepted by forces she could neither see nor comprehend. Divine protection isn't always loud. Sometimes it looks like a missed opportunity she tried to sabotage that turned into your biggest breakthrough. Sometimes it looks like isolation she created around you that became the very space where you heard God most clearly. She tried to shut you out, but all she did was shut you in with heaven. And in that sacred silence, angels stood guard. ancestors whispered guidance, and God fortified you from the inside out. She thought you were fragile because you didn't fight her on her level. She couldn't understand how someone so quiet kept advancing. But what she mistook for weakness was actually supernatural stability. You are like a rock in the middle of the storm, unshaken, unmoved, unbreakable. Your peace wasn't passive, it was prophetic. You knew the storm would pass. You knew she couldn't sustain the darkness she had summoned. And now, as her world starts collapsing under the weight of spiritual consequences, you remain whole, anchored in truth, glowing in the grace she never saw coming. That's what it means to be chosen, not to escape the fire, but to emerge from it, refined. All her energy, all her effort, all her obsessive plotting was like fists pounding against the wind. Her words had no weight in your world. Her judgment never reached your core, because your soul was not built for validation, but for mission. She tried to imprison you with public perception, but you were already free. She tried to define you with lies, but truth was always your foundation. And now, her frustration is not only with you, it's with herself, because no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't move you. No manipulation worked. No guilt took root, and no trap ever caught your spirit. She aimed again and again, and missed every time. She was playing a game she didn't understand, because when someone tries to curse a chosen one, they're not dealing with just one person. They're dealing with everything behind them. Your prayers, your ancestors, your angels, your covenant. She didn't see the covering. She didn't feel the fire surrounding your life. She only saw the external and believed she could access your soul. But you are sealed, set apart, guarded. And now, she's running into the consequences of a battle she never should have started. Not because you fought her, but because you are untouchable when you're aligned with divine assignment. And now that alignment is revealing itself as undeniable power. What terrifies her the most now is not what you've said, but what you haven't. Your silence is speaking volumes. Your peace is louder than her noise. Because she expected war, but you gave her stillness. And that stillness echoed back with a force she cannot manage. She's learning now that some presences are so powerful. They shift rooms without raising a voice. She underestimated the weight of your spirit, and now she finds herself crushed beneath the pressure of her own projections. The very energy she once used to twist narratives has boomeranged with precision. She tried to control the outcome, but destiny is something no human hand can shape. Every day she sees you thriving, every time she hears your name spoken in admiration, every moment she senses your elevation, she feels the consequences sink deeper. Because what she released wasn't just words, it was energy, and energy doesn't die. It transforms. What she poured into the world returned to her, transformed into chaos, confusion, and conflict. You, however, became a conductor of light. You rose above it. You didn't argue. You didn't explain. You just evolved. And that evolution is haunting to someone who believed their darkness could extinguish your flame. Instead, your light grew stronger, revealing her shadows to everyone she tried to deceive. In her attempt to be your downfall, she became the author of her own collapse. That's the revelation she's avoiding, that every curse became your crown, that every betrayal became your banner, that every attempt to block you became a spotlight on your destiny. She was so determined to be the one who stopped you, and now she has to live with the fact that she became part of your testimony. You didn't just survive her storm, you walked on the water of it, and now she watches from the same place she tried to drown you in, realizing it's no longer a battlefield, it's your platform. And the only thing left for her is the echo of the truth. She aimed wrong. Every seed she planted in the dark has now broken through the surface, bearing fruit she never imagined she'd have to eat. Her intentions were poisoned, her words sharp, her energy bitter. And now it all circles back to her doorstep. This is not karma in the shallow sense. This is divine retribution, rooted in spiritual law. She didn't just offend you, she offended the divine order that chose you. And now, every door she tried to close on you is opening wider, while the ones she once walked through are sealing shut. She wanted you forgotten, erased from memory. But now your presence speaks louder than ever, because nothing formed against a chosen one ever truly stands. It only ends up proving who they really are. She thought she could touch you without consequence, but you are not ordinary. You are appointed. You are anointed. You are divinely protected by something ancient and eternal. What she tried to dismantle was never just your life. It was your purpose. And that purpose cannot be revoked, altered, or erased. Her mistake wasn't just aiming at you, it was misunderstanding the magnitude of what you carry. And now, the results are irreversible. The attempt to shame you has only established your name in higher realms. The attempt to isolate you only expanded your influence. Everything she did brought you deeper into alignment. And now, while you flourish in the divine, she wrestles with the spiritual contract she breached. You are walking in a level of favor she'll never comprehend. Not because you're better, but because you obeyed. You didn't retaliate. You didn't match her energy. You kept your soul clean. And because of that, heaven backed you up in full. So now I want to invite you, yes, you, to mark this moment. If these words echo your own story, write in the comments, "I am protected." Let your enemies hear your peace. Let the spirit realm feel your declaration. Don't just watch this in silence. Activate it. And please, leave a like if your life is proof that no attack will prosper. Subscribe to this channel if you're done shrinking to make others comfortable with your light. And above all, keep rising. I also want to sincerely thank everyone who supports us through Buy Me a Coffee. Your support has been crucial in elevating the quality of our videos and keeping our mission alive. If this video touched your soul and you'd like to support this spiritual work, the link is in the first pinned comment. And before you go, don't stop here. Click on the suggested video on the screen or dive into our playlist right now. There's an entire series waiting for you. Each video deeper, more healing, more revealing. May the light continue to guide you, and may the truth always find you. Until the next video, Chosen One.